This video is going to talk through instructions for the IB Diploma Program exams, particular to students. So the first thing that you need to know is that when you come to the examination, you need to bring a form of identification so that we know that the right student is in the right location. It's also very important that you arrive early for the examinations, and the arrival times are shared on the screen. So the DP exam schedule was shared with you individually in an email communication. You'll see there are several examinations that occur, and some of your tests will span over a couple of days. And so it's really important that you organize when you need to be at an examination. Perhaps make Google Calendar invites for yourself, write it in a planner, put it on a list that you keep on your refrigerator, but it's very important that you stay on top of this calendar and know when you need to be at each individual exam that you are registered for. So on this exam, the first thing to know is that all of the locations of the examinations are at Huron High School. So you will be taking these at Huron. The two main places that we'll be testing are the lower gym and the principal's conference room. And the principal's conference room is located right near the main office. And that's where we're going to be holding exams that have extended time. You will see there are a couple other locations, so be sure that you're looking very carefully at your schedule and where you need to be. Do not assume that it is just the lower gym. Arrival. You need to be in the exam space and ready to go 20 minutes prior to the start of the examination. So that means that you may want to arrive even earlier than 20 minutes. 10 minutes before the exam start time, our proctors will begin reading the instructions for the exam. So this means you need to be in your seats with all of your material and ready to go because instructions are read 10 minutes prior to the start of the exam. And then 5 minutes prior to the start of the exam time will be your reading time. And your teachers can explain this, but many of the exams give you 5 minutes to look through the entire exam and plan your strategy. That happens prior to the exam start time. So again, it's so important that you're there 20 minutes in your seat because 10 minutes we start instructions and 5 minutes ahead of the exam start time is your reading time. And the exam time will start at the time that it is listed. So when you finish your exam and you're getting ready to leave, there are two things you need to know. You cannot leave an exam within the first 60 minutes of that exam. And you also cannot leave the exam in the last 15 minutes of the examination. You will need to pay attention to the schedule because there are a couple of exams that go longer than the school day. And those are shown on this sheet that's shared with you with an asterisk. And it's important on those days that you arrange for transportation promptly after school, after your exam time ends on these days. If there's any reason that you are going to be late for an examination, you need to call ahead. This could mean we've all been in a situation where there is an accident on the bridge and the traffic is just not moving and you're going to be a couple minutes late. You have to call ahead. You cannot just show up late to the exam. In the email communication, there was a link to a Google Voice number that you can call and let us know that you're going to be running late, and we will let you know. First and foremost, you need to be safe, but it is important that you communicate if anything comes up. So this next part is about attendance. So your attendance will be excused during the DP exams that you are registered for. You'll be excused for the full duration of the exam. So your families do not need to call to excuse you for that exam time. If your exam overlaps lunch, you're going to also be excused for 4th hour to make sure that you can eat. So for example, if you have an 11:40 and you typically have late lunch, you will be excused for 4th hour so that you can eat during early lunch. You cannot have food or drinks in the exam spaces. The only thing that we are going to allow in the spaces is clear, bottled, contained water, not in open cups. And, any sort of, it has to be clear water and it has to be in a container. And if you do have an AM and a PM exam on a day, you may want to consider bringing a lunch if you're concerned about times and getting to the cafeteria being short. So now we're going to talk about allowed and not allowed items. So the first things that are allowed are blue and black pens. You will be writing in blue and black pens. You can have general stationery rulers, erasers, and things like that for graphing and drawing, and especially math. You can have a calculator for the appropriately listed tests. You really do not need to have very much with you. We will have everything for you. You just really need to make sure you have blue and black pens. We will have also clean copies of data booklets for chemistry and physics, case studies for business management and computer science, formula booklets for business management, notation for pseudocode for computer science, formula booklets for all of your math classes, graph paper available for math, as well as squared paper available for Chinese examinations. So you do not need to bring those. We will have clean copies for you. There are some things that are prohibited. Cell phones, they have to be powered off. They cannot be put on silent. They have to be turned off. The most important part about these instructions is if you take any of these into the exam room, even by mistake, it is a breach of regulations and you won't be eligible if something goes off and vibrates in your bag. You also cannot have smart watches. If you want to have a watch with you for a clock, it has to be a basic non-connectable watch device. No headphones, no earbuds, no books, paper, notes, or anything can be near where the students are sitting during the exam. And again, no food except contained clear water. Calculators, please know the rules for your class and using the calculators. Your teachers can help you understand those. We will need to see them and have them cleared before each examination. And the examinations that can use calculators are biology, chemistry, physics, environmental systems and societies, business management, and all the math, but not for every exam. So you do need to know that. And it's always wise to have extra batteries with you when you are taking an examination with a calculator. So you also receive this notice to candidates, and this talks about many of the things that I already talked about, that you can't leave in the first 60 or last 15 minutes. Another thing that's very important is that you are not allowed to communicate with anyone else about this examination. There's no communication in the exam room. You cannot share materials. You can't borrow somebody's pencil or eraser. You have to follow instructions. You can't take anything with you, even if you have scrap paper, or if you've written on an exam booklet that is just scrap paper, you're still turning that in. Nothing leaves the examination room with you. If you see anything, please let the coordinator or the proctor know about anything that you see going on. And this last one is really important. You cannot discuss this examination outside of the immediate people with you for the next 24 hours. They're looking for communications because you have to remember that this is happening all over the world in different time zones. And so they are looking in social media to be sure that there is no communication going on about the examinations for 24 hours. This next part is about knowing what kind of tests that you're taking. So there's actually 3 different kinds of tests. There are structured exams, semi-structured exams, and unstructured exams. So a structured exam is the kind of exam where you're going to write your answers in the question booklet. You can have as many answer booklets if you need additional space, if it doesn't fit in the space that's left for you in the question book. And this is considered, we call it a write-on examination paper. A semi-structured is, you might guess by the the word here. So this is the type of examination where you write some of your answers in the question book. Usually it's the start of the paper, and then the rest of them, usually the end questions, are written exclusively in the answer booklet. So it's kind of a combination. And then an unstructured exam is the type of exam where you do not write anything in the booklet, and everything is written in the answer booklet. And that's what goes, just the answer booklets get sent in that case. So when you're getting ready and you're going to be submitting this paper, one thing that you need to know about is the string tag. And this is going to be strange because you've probably not seen these before, but this is like one of the things that all IB students around the world know about is string tags. So string tags bind your book, all of your answer booklets and your tests and your cover sheets all together. Rather than a stapler or a paper clip or a binder clip, we use a string tag. And they simply go through the perforated holes in your packet that you're going to be turning in and hold it all together. So you're going to see these string tags, and you're going to be putting your answer, you're going to be putting everything together and binding it with this for every exam. Those string tags look like this. They simply go through the hole and just sit there and hold it all together. The next thing is the answer booklets. And so the answer booklets with the IB are unique, and your teachers are going to have a guidebook that they're going to be sharing with you. The most important part about this is numbering the boxes, because you have to remember that these are going to be scanned and sent to examiners. So you always have to be thinking about talking to a computer and talking to a scanner to know which questions get sent to which examiner. So if your answers don't fit in the box on a structured or semi-structured exam, you're going to write continued in answer booklet. And then you're going to move over to here, you're going to write the question number down, and you're going to finish writing your answer. Anytime that you make a mistake, you just draw a line through it, and that's the signal to not read and score it if there's a line drawn through it. Any drafting that you do is done in these booklets. So let's say you're getting ready and you're going to write an essay and you want to outline it and make some notes. You write right in this answer booklet, and then if you don't want your drafting scored, you just draw a line through it, and then that's, again, the cue to not score it. And you can always have as many booklets as you need. So if you fill these up, each one is 4 pages. If you fill these up, you can have 2, 3, 4, 5, as many of them as you want. All of your exams are going to come with a cover sheet, and they're going to be pre-printed with your name and your candidate number, as well as the exam and the level that you're taking. And the only things that you're going to need to add to it are which questions you answered, because in a lot of places you have a choice, and then how many answer booklets you used. Is it 2, 3, 1? And so those are the kinds of things you have to fill this cover sheet out at the end of every exam. So you should know your candidate number, and that was in the PIN report that was shared with you, but you should probably know that so that you can recognize it. So just a couple reminders of things to do. You were shared a form in the initial communication with your exam schedule where you need to tell us where you want your exam scores sent to colleges. So you'll need to fill that out by May 1st. You should also make sure that you know how to get your scores in July, and there was a video shared with you about that as well. And again, your PIN report was shared with you in the Google Drive. And again, I reiterate what I said from the very beginning, and that is you should know the dates and the times of all of your exams. So good luck to you all, and if you have any questions, please ask your teacher, and we will be sure to get them answered right away.